The micro is where we're starting to see a lot of the issues. Penalties and discipline is 100% an issue.
We had 4 explosives all game. Longest play was a 36-yard Demond scramble. We were 2 of 2 in the red zone. We've continued that trend. We were just never in the red zone. You can measure our offensive production with 3 statistics. We have to be below 7% dropbacks getting sacked. If that happens, we're winning. On third down, if we're converting over 45%, we're winning. If first down, we are having success, meaning 5 yards or more on first down, over 50% of the time, we are winning. None of those 3 things happened. And so you're not going to win. We're too good of a staff, too experienced to have the same thing happen twice. Even if, in the rain, we can't be, the rain is not an excuse. We are Washington.
Want to slice? Gotta roll the dice. That's why all my life, I've been grinding all my life.
Welcome to the Dubbed Up Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Flaunt. Very rough weekend at Camp Randall. We're going to go over the game against Wisconsin. We're going to preview Purdue. We're going to do our Q&A. We're going to do our picks. But first, make sure you go like, subscribe, join Discord more than anything else. The links are down in the bio. Now, before we jump into the whole conversation of the game, there's a giant elephant in the room, and we're going to address that. I got my guys Izzo and Noah with me. Fellas, Jedd Fisch has been all over the headlines from before the Wisconsin game till now. Let's jump into the Jedd Fisch conversation, not just the coaching, not just where he may or may not be going or him addressing those rumors this week, but let's go over everything. Noah, I'm going to start with you on this one because we were talking about this before we jumped in, and I thought you had a lot of really good stuff to say. Let's start with Jedd Fisch and what happened Saturday, and then move into kind of the whole coaching carousel. Was he distracted or not? The things that seem to have affected the 13-10 loss that we faced against the Badgers this weekend.
I want to be really clear. I know there's people calling for his head. There's people saying we need to move on. It's time. I think myself, Izzo, Mike, the Dubbed Up boys, I think we see a lot of the stuff Jedd's doing, and actually we really like what Jedd's doing. I think we're just looking for the University of Washington to take that next step. I think about the Sabans of the world. I think about the Chris Petersons of the world. When those guys were up 40, they always went in to their guys when they made mistakes. They were always drilling in discipline, always drilling in like the little things, the perfection. I just see that we consistently are creating penalties. At the end of the day, I just don't know if UW right now is good enough to play bad and win in the Big Ten. That's the big issue I see is we are playing we're not playing well for complete games, and we're not good enough to win when we play bad.
Okay, and that makes perfect sense. It seems like instead of focusing on the small details, because it seems like the great coaches have always been those guys that their attention to the little details is what makes them great. Izzo, when you were looking at specifically how our game plan offensively was going into the Wisconsin game this weekend, did it seem to you like the team was distracted?
I try the best that I can to compartmentalize. I agree with everything Noah said, and we talked about this before. Like, it's impossible for us to know what conversations happen and when. There's not a camera on the sideline seeing coaching opportunities. However, you have to surmise that something is up because there's consistent issues that don't get solved. For me, a big thing that happened in the Maryland game that I saw as a shift was us coaching Demond's mind and his disposition as he's going out into the second half. I thought that he settled down big time in the second half by getting short completions and stacking those completions and gaining some confidence and rhythm. And that allowed us to expand. And that was exactly what we needed in the second half of this game was like consistent stuff underneath, and would get chunk yards and keep them on the field and kind of impose our will. And I think it's a good example of one of the minor things that maybe it's not necessarily discipline like Noah's talking about with penalties, things like that, but it's a little thing that those coaches who are at that top tier level, they execute on. They're cognizant of, and they coach to during the game. You know, when we saw DeMond towards the end of the second half, he had Decker DeGraff wide open on the right side of the field, but he takes that deep shot and throws a pick in the back of the end zone. We didn't need that. There was 3 minutes left, and we took points off the board on a short field. It's hard for me to tell if the trend is legitimate, that like there is something that happens on the road where we are less focused, or that there's O-line penalties because Jedd Fisch's future is ambiguous and he's not answering questions the way that fans want him to answer, and shut down those things. Like, I'm certain he's probably having some behind the scenes conversations about, hey, I'm not really looking here, and kind of shutting those things down. Like, I think he has the wherewithal on that. I'm more talking about the in-game stuff, managing the minds type of thing. How much are you taking from this game? How many opportunities did DeMond have to settle in like the second half, and you do make those adjustments coaching wise, and then guys settle in when there's a sieve on the injuries? Like, you can't get any continuity because this O-lineman goes down as a party's out in the second half. Like, those things impact your ability to make those adjustments. And I have a hard time dragging things from last year into this picture because it's a totally different team. So, you know, I guess I'm sort of both sidesing this, like we talked about, where it's like, do you take our Rutgers and what, you know, Rutgers lost, for instance, last year, and go, well, you have that game, one other from last year that we should have won maybe on the road, Michigan this year, and Wisconsin, remove all context and go, those 3 or 4 games, we have a problem on the road. And I think there's an argument for it. And then I also think that those same arguments sometimes don't include the context of game script, 37 freezing rain that picks up in the second half. You are inside the 10 all game, and then the weather picks up, and then you lose 3 guys. You lose Denzel and Azzopardi, and Landon comes out. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I think it's completely justified for the fan base to start to look at these things, because to Noah's point, would Nick Saban have those excuses? Would
And Izzo, can I ask this thing? Because I don't ever want to be the guy who's like, doing the, armchair quarterback. Oh, Jedd, why aren't you doing this or this? And it's easy to do that from our position. 3 days later, asking all these questions, but we knew the weather was going to be bad. We talked about the weather on Tuesday night for our Wednesday podcast. We knew it was going to be crazy. We knew that they had this quarterback carousel. They were going to either start, they were going to bring back 1, 2, or 3 different guys, maybe even this true freshman who they ever ended up going with, Carter Smith. We knew those things. So what I'm doing is I'm preparing my team to play business ball. And what I mean by that is 2 simple things: a field position game, and we don't need crazy style points. And so why it frustrates me when I see DeMond do what he did on the 7-yard line was not because he missed RVB coming off on an in-cut route. Yeah, he should hit him. But we know the only thing we can't do is give up the ball inside our own red zone, because we know they can't move the ball on us. That's the only thing that's going to make you lose the game. So that's where I struggle when I talk about the preparation stuff. Is it's not that I don't think Jedd and Jimmy Doherty are getting the guys ready. It's just maybe they need to literally look back and go, whatever we're doing thinking we're getting the guys ready, it might not be working on the road. So we might need to change our philo a little bit and change up how we get our guys ready outside of Montlake. And that's my thought.
I want to be clear. I'm sort of playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
You know, like there's nothing that you just said that I disagree with. We found a way to lose this game with way more talent. That's inexcusable. So I don't want to come on here and be like, hey, I'm making all these excuses for Jedd, but I wanted to kind of give the other side.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Like, just in terms of like the overarching theme of, is there a giant problem with Jedd Fisch and his coaching? Just like you said to kick this off, there's so much that he has done and is doing that outweighs some of this stuff, so long as he wins moving forward. Now, if we got to win out, dude. Anyways, I don't want to get into that.
No. So you guys, there's 2 sides to the argument of it. There's the macro, which is what he's doing with the program and the direction that it's going. And I feel like all that is actually really, really good.
Correct.
The micro is where we're starting to see a lot of the issues. Now, penalties and discipline is 100% an issue.
Yes.
We get so many penalties at the worst moments, and they cost us big time. Fa Solo's back-to-back false starts cost us big time. Keeping him in the game for those drives and keep going back to him has cost us big time. It's just things that are happening over and over again, and it's been 2 years of this. The one things that I think might be getting to Jedd is he has a ton on his plate. He's a general manager for the team. He's a general manager for almost like a salary cap when it comes to NIL and the money that we're getting them. He's rebuilding our facilities, and he's facilitating all that. Who's painting what the rooms look like.
Nutrition.
Nutrition,
all
all those things. And then he's also calling all the plays, studying all the other teams, and then managing both sides of the ball as the general manager of the team, being the head coach. I think it is a fair question to ask if there's too much on his plate, because the small details when you're doing a whole bunch of stuff, I know for a fact that those things can pile up, and I feel like they are piling up right now. And I think Jedd was a week late with his comments about his future. I think you make those comments last week or 2 weeks ago or whatever. All it does is, you don't have to believe it, but it silences the critics long enough for you to be able to focus and not have to keep answering those questions. It doesn't take space up in the attic. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It leaves space for other things that are more important. And I wonder how much of that is playing a role in what's going on right now. When we see these games where it seems like, man, our guys just didn't get up.
That's where I will push back. That was one of my points, is I don't think it impacted us. Like, I don't think the distraction of how he was answering questions, whether or not he was saying it bluntly enough, and people, and fans reading.
God, it surely affects the fan base.
It affects the fan base, that's for sure.
Well, I don't mean like, Pocky Finau's thinking about what's going on. What I'm saying is, because that's taking up space, instead of them harping on a certain thing in practice, or them focusing on on something specific as a coach, his headspace is full of all these other things, and that may or may not be the case.
For him, not his players.
Yeah. It felt like, I said, if you watch that offensive game plan, it felt rushed. It felt like, when you play Madden and you're having a bad game and you start forcing things and then you hit the off button because you don't want to play no more.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Yeah, we can.
Let's get into the game. And just like I said, to tie a bow on it, I think, as dubbed up, and if I can speak for the three of us, we believe in Jedd Fisch. We believe in what he's doing in his direction for the team. These are just the idiosyncrasies that we're appraising right now, that we've been noticing over this season, and they're the things that I think are causing the fan base a little bit of frustration. But let's look to the Wisconsin game and kind of recap what happened. It was a rough game, 10-13. It was a snowstorm. It was a freezing rainstorm. It was kind of all kinds of crazy weather. No offense was really played at all in this game, if you want to be honest. The defenses really kind of held it down. No, I got you first on my list, bro. What did you think about? What were your overarching thoughts of the game as you watched it play out?
I said it in the preview, and why I was so big on getting on these guys was because I think if you allowed them to hang around, they started to gain confidence. And remember, Luke Fickell, during the bye week, they had a bye week coming into this game, they extended him. I think that kind of rejuvenated this team a little bit.
Or they said they weren't going to get rid of him at the end of the year. Yeah.
Yep.
And they said they were going to give more money to the program so they'd be able to thrive. Yeah.
Yep. And so I think they kind of, I think that he kind of got like a little bit of juice back into that program for this game. And anytime you beat, there's the whole, like, who's the UW? I mean, that's some locker room material. Who's the king on the block?
That actually pissed me off. I don't know about you guys. That really hurt me. That was like a really good troll. That pissed me off a lot.
But I'm going to talk really quick, about just the overall game recap. And I'm going to go back to the mistakes, man. I mean, there's just too many mistakes. Dude, our punt game, Mike, you talked about field position. Dude, I'm sorry. I'm going to call them out. These are men, dude. Luke Dunn, Dude, he's been awful all year. Don't clip this, Izzo. This, he's been bad, man. I mean, we got him from Oregon. I'm starting to wonder if he's a double agent. I mean, did they just like dish this guy? I mean, seriously though, I guess he punts really well in practice. That's what's interesting. Is Jedd has talked about him. He punts well in practice, and then he just craps down his leg in games. We need to be better. We do. Jimmy Doherty talked about on that deep shot into the end zone. I guess Jimmy Doherty, they ran a wide receiver in. They said, "Hey, let's take a shot call here." The issue is just because you take a shot call doesn't mean it's a shot taken. That's what Jimmy said. When you see the DB don't bite on that, you can't just throw that up there. You give away points like Izzo said, and it's just a killer. The other piece is, guys, penalties, man. We've talked about it already, but I got to say it. 8 for 53. It's not that it's just 2nd and 7, now 2nd and 12. It puts you behind the sticks. It changes Jedd's play calling. You have to go to a different part of your sheet. It just ruins the mojo and ruins the flow. We just had bad field position all game, 5 drives starting in the UW territory. When you're playing a team like these guys, make them go 80 yards. I do have a little bit of glass half full really quick. I think our defense, man, they played pretty well in this game. And I actually kind of feel sick for those guys, man. They played. Once again, I think Walters had a good game plan. I think even though we saw some RPO that kind of got us a little bit, I think that there was some stuff there with Carter Smith that we hadn't seen. I think we kind of shut it down, especially looking the second half. But I mean, Walters even talked about that a little bit. There was some stuff there that, they hadn't seen, some old school, like triple option stuff. At the end of the day, UW's just not good enough when they play bad to have an off day. And we had an off day and we lost to a 2-6 Wisconsin team that just is a bad football team, man.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. And what you said about the defense makes a lot of sense. Those 2 linebackers, ZRS and X-Ray, both had real nice games. Izzo, what's your take on the game?
Can't believe it. I can't believe we're talking about this right now. Yeah. To Noah's point, this game can kind of be summed up in a field position battle type of thing. There was no offense. On average, we were starting from our own 24. They were starting from their own 45. That's a 21-yard difference in the rain. That's the whole story just in general. If you wanted to like epitomize it in one kind of theme, it's field position and the weather. That being said, Wisconsin had 8 punts, 5 of them, like Noah said, inside our 20, 4 of which were inside the 10. Wow. 3 of them happened at the end of the game, right when we needed to pick up steam. And so it played poorly, like as bad as it could have gone, because like I said, what I wanted to see is us kind of wear them down in the first half and then kind of get into a rhythm in the second. Well, you're starting 3, drive number 8, drive number 10, and drive number 11 all started from UW starting from inside their own 10. Even with the defense holding Wisconsin to 205 yards and 2 of 14 on third down, we're repeatedly on our side of the field just buried. We had 10 points on 12 drives, 0.83 points per drive. We had give up 5 sacks on 37 dropbacks. On money downs, meaning 3rd and 4th, we were 5 of 16 on 3rd down. We were 1 of 4 or 1 of 3 on 4th.
Izzo, do you remember on points per drive that earlier in the season you called that stat out and
Yes.
UW was at 3.8? Yes. And this game we're at 0.8. I mean, dude, that is
we're like top 5 or top 10 in the country. Yeah, it's just to kind of highlight what we already know and conceptualize it. We had 4 explosives all game. Longest play was a 36-yard Demond scramble. We were 2 of 2 in the red zone. We've continued that trend. We were just never in the red zone. You can measure our offensive production with 3 statistics. We have to be below 7% dropbacks getting sacked. If that happens, we're winning. On 3rd down, if we're converting over 45%, we're winning. If first down, we are having success, meaning 5 yards or more on first down, over 50% of the time, we are winning. None of those 3 things happened, and so you're not going to win.
Yeah, I mean, that makes perfect sense. I mean, do you guys ever feel like when we lose, we seem to get Big Ten? And what I mean by that is we kind of seem to get pushed around in the places where it seems like the week before when we win, we don't have it, but when we lose, it always seems to be those same kind of stories. It seems like we struggle maybe in the trenches some. Toughness. Do you guys think that happens at all? Or do you think it's just the fact that we're on the road?
I think it's a little bit of both, Mike. I think that players that you could get by with as a good player in the Pac-12 are just a jag in the Big Ten, man. I just think the overall recruiting, I think just the beef and the physicality and just the tenacity and just the war daddies in the Big Ten. Almost
the
all
depth is more maybe what you're talking about.
Yes,
yeah.
dude. I mean, that's where I was going to go. They all just seem to have it. Do we struggle on the road? I mean, we do, man. And is it because we're young? Yes. Is it because we have a 19-year-old starting quarterback? Yes. At home, he has 8 touchdowns, 8 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 7 passing touchdowns on the road to 5 interceptions.
Jedd said this in his press conference. Every game is a tough game in the Big Ten, and it's going to be a knife fight again this next week. And before you know it, it's the third or fourth quarter. I mean, we said it last week on the pod that if we're not winning by a decent amount before jump around hits, what is that, after the third quarter? Is that what it is?
Yep.
That we could be in trouble. And I mean, Noah, you called that. It was literally.
I think that was me, actually.
Was it you that called? That said, I thought Noah was,
disagreed.
Izzo's ripping you.
Noah, you had the calls in general because you literally called the score of the game. And Izzo, you broke down how we would get to that score.
We all thought that we were going to win that game like everybody else did. Anybody in their right mind who was doing football math and breaking that game down thought we were going to win that game handedly. There was like one dissenting comment that I saw throughout the entire week from one fan who was like, you guys are underestimating them. Everybody else was like, dude, we are so much better than this team. And we are. And that's why I wasn't expecting it. But at literally, that game could not have gone when the weather picked up for that game, played perfectly for them. And their strengths on their front seven, which we called like good, but not going to be good enough to win the game for you. Dude, I knew that Mason Posa was good. Those linebackers are ferocious.
Yep.
Like, this was such a big win for them to hang on to some of that roster on the defensive side. I would assume, because this has to be a huge momentum builder for Wisconsin. Like, that's actually a win they can seriously build on moving forward.
You're talking about that Cooper Catalano kid. He had 19 tackles in this game.
Did he really?
Those two are
19 tackles.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, I mean, Ohio State would love that behind those two, behind Reese and the guys that they got right now.
The reason why I was so confident in winning this game is, and Izzo, you said something just like kind of tongue in cheek, like, yeah, we scored 30 in this game. I'm like, 30? We need to score 14 in this game. And I said that in the pod, and it wasn't because I was like, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. It was Wisconsin. I was like, these guys can't score the football. If we don't fumble the ball in the 7, they score 3 points in this game.
Yes.
They scored 3 points in this game.
Dude, their punter, I mean, the fact that their punter had more passing yards than their quarterback, 8 yards total through the air from their quarterback, 3 of 12, that is insane.
And Izzo, you said, the other thing you said too was, if we lost a game like this, is this like a signature like loss, like the worst loss of Jedd's career?
Probably, yeah.
And the harsh reality is, and we talked about this, is he's got quite a few losses now, and he doesn't have that signature win. But there's a game coming up in two weeks.
Yep.
Yeah.
3 weeks. Excuse me.
You guys remember what we said at the beginning of the season? And I think everybody across the board, when it comes to people who are picking Washington and what they would do this year, they were like, you're probably going to win 8 to 9 games this year. And you're going to have a game that you win that you shouldn't, and a game that you lose that you shouldn't.
That's the glass. Yeah.
That's exactly what happened. I mean, think about KDB. That Arizona State game was the game he shouldn't have won. And then
now you have to beat Oregon. You have to. It's a must win now for the narrative.
It's what we play for, because the truth is you win the next couple weeks and then play Oregon and win. First of all, you get a real good, you have a real good time of shitting in the cereal for the team you hate the most and sending them packing. And on top of that, you have your 9th win if you win that game. And then you're playing for your 10th win in the bowl game. And let me ask you guys this. At the beginning of the season, if I would have told you they're going to finish the season with 10 wins and a bowl win, even though they don't make the playoff, that's kind of where we were hoping to be.
That's where, the fan base was.
If you told me we were 9-3 and we hit a bowl game and we got a dub there and we were 10-3, dude, I would have said sign me up right now. I don't really care.
I thought we were winning 10 games. I'll be the dissenter. I still think we should have.
How many people really thought we were going to make the CFP this year before the season started?
No one.
We happened to play right at the right times and things fell the way they should. And we were staring at an opportunity to do it and we screwed it up. But we still have a lot to play for.
Jedd wears a lot of hats, but I will tell you this. If Jedd continues on the trajectory of the infrastructure build out, and I'm not just talking about like buildings, I'm talking about full-blown infrastructure build out, recruiting. If you piecemeal some offensive linemen in here, you piecemeal a couple,
and you got them coming in, frankly.
That's what I'm saying. No, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
And defensive linemen too.
Defensive linemen, and maybe you grab a couple out of the portal. I mean, I'm telling you,
they're going to do that, dude.
I know. And this is a 10, 11 win football team in a year, maybe 2 years. And Damon Williams, dude, don't let one game, don't let a couple games really, like he's 19 years old. He's barely started. I don't even think he started 12 games yet.
He hasn't. This week coming up will be his 12th game.
That's why people need to, I'm not going to, I want to say it, but I'm not going to. I just feel like we should not be on that reactionary fire Jedd right now, because you're heading down the right path. I mean, okay, so let me ask you guys this. If we lose to Oregon and we're 8-4, and then we go into a bowl game, let's say we win 9-4, 8-5. Do you guys feel equipped to still have the disposition that we're heading the right trajectory based on everything else? I know my answer. What would your guys' be if we finish this season 8-5?
I think context plays a lot into this.
It's not enough at 8-5 for you to go reset button.
No way. Okay. No way. I mean, if they lose to Purdue and UCLA, and let's say we sit at 6 win, yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Before we move on to Purdue, I think the adversity that we thought was going to be behind us reared its head this season a little bit more than what we expected. But regardless, we are not going to be like apathetic in the portal. We're not just going to sit on the sidelines. We are going to fill spots that we need to fill going into next year, and we're not going to waste Damon's years as we go forward. So with that being said, 2 years from now, I do think Jedd will feel less pressure in being able to delegate some of this stuff. I hope, because there was so much he needed to do to get us ready to go into the Big Ten I still think he's wearing some of those hats, like the NIL infrastructure, the donor stuff. I do think that he'll be able to let go and release some of that and focus a little bit more.
Well, and you know what? He's also, this is only his 4th year as a head coach. He's not like he's a Saban who's been coaching for 15 years. He's a relatively new head coach, and in a brand new space. He's only been here 18 months now, and that takes time to settle in and find your groove.
Let's break into this Purdue game.
Yeah. All right. So now coming into town, we have the Boilermakers of Purdue. They're struggling at 2-8, but I think that's a little bit of fugazi. If you watch how they played against Michigan last week, or was it 2 weeks ago?
Yep.
21-16. They gave them a real run for their money. They're not not as bad as what you think their record would say. Izzo, I'm going to start with you on this one. When you're looking at this Purdue team and us being back on Montlake and all that, is this the recipe for us to get back on track, like a get right game almost, or is this something we really got to worry about in another possible trap?
Yeah, I think it is a possible trap, but I was so confident heading into last week. Now I'm like second guessing myself, but I would be really surprised if Purdue is going to come into Husky Stadium and win. That being said, they show flashes. Absolutely. They have like specialized guys on defense that all of a sudden is like a guy that's not playing all game, and all of a sudden he's just getting to the passer immediately and he's super fast, kind of how we do. where we have specialized guys a little bit like that. I will say this, and I'll kick it to Noah because I want us to hear the context of the spread and all that type of thing. Their quarterback Brown, he really does flash like he could be really good. They just shoot themselves in the foot with turnovers on a regular basis, and that keeps them out of contention for winning games. I think their only game that they scored more than 28 points in against a Division I opponent was Notre Dame randomly. I want to say third week of the year. I see a lot of the teams wearing them down with big offensive linemen and running the football. So that's kind of maybe a worry is not the right word, but I think I kind of really want to see in this game is us establish the run with, and it might have to be with Adam. And I'm kind of feeling okay with that. So long as the O-line is healthy, and it's not, but I think we can put it together, and we have I think with the guys who will play run block well. And so I think we'll manage to be okay. But Noah, kick us off with just the context of overarching on this whole game.
I was trying to look like in their Big Ten schedule last year. They haven't come out west, so this is kind of their first big, Big Ten out west trip they have. Washington leads this series all time 7-2-1. We have a tie back, like 40 years ago. But if everybody remembers the Purdue UW Rose Bowl, Drew Brees Bowl. UW actually won that game, but that was a hell of a game. A lot of people say it's one of the best Rose Bowls of all time. When we look at this year's game, the line opened right around 15.5. It's actually grown to 16.5. You look at some books, it's actually at 17 as well. This team's coached by Barry Odom. He's kind of a defensive-minded guy from UNLV. He was the Mountain West Coach of the Year in 2023. He was the Missouri coach back in I think like maybe 18, 19, 20. Ended up going to Arkansas. Getting fired from Missouri, going to Arkansas. Then he ends up becoming the UNLV coach. But this Boilermaker team, man, I mean, they've really had to reshape just like all sides of the ball, 50 plus transfers. There's a lot of connections on this team. Ryan Walters. Ryan Walters comes from being the Purdue head coach. A lot of people don't know this, but Barry Odom, right? Head coach at Purdue. Brian Odom is our inside linebackers coach at UW, right? So in his press conference, the Purdue media kept asking him, like, well, do you text Ryan Walters? Like, do you know his family? And Barry Odom's like, yeah, I know his wife. I know his kids. My wife knows his wife and their kids. Like, yeah, like we're friends. We've known each other for a long time. And so it's kind of fun. I think there'll be a little friendly competition, probably some fun wagers, on this game.
And Ryan Walters is going to want to shut down, put the clamps on his the team that fired him. So
I will say this before we get into the offense versus the defense. I would like to see us receive. Let's get out and score right away. Their pass defense, 403 yards a game, is 101st in the country against the pass. Get the quick game going on first down. Seams and daggers. If you know that if Denzel's going to be out, get things going with the young bucks underneath a little bit, because they play a little bit of a soft zone. Well, they don't do it a little bit; they do it a lot. And then find Decker, and we'll get into more of kind of giving away what I want to do on offense. But I want to see a big game from the tight ends here. And if it's not Decker, then get Q Moore going. But I think this is if Denzel's out, you kind of got to have a good game plan coming into this game. You don't have that throw it up in the back of the end zone on the 1 yard line and Denzel's going to one hand grab it for some crazy catch. So
Izzo, can I piggyback? Why don't we just keep going on
let's just go offense. Yeah. Sorry, Mike.
Because, no.
All right, let's do it. Hey, I'm with it.
No, Mike, I mean, I'm sorry. I think you could see Adam Muhammad's first 100-yard day.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. I really do. And, especially if Jonah's out, here's a couple of quick hitters. Jeremiah Love, Notre Dame, rush for 157. Antoine Raymond, Rutgers, rush for 116. Jordan Marshall, Michigan, 185. So they're susceptible to getting hit. The other thing I noticed too was talking a little bit about rushing. I'll just piggyback is if you guys watched into that Michigan game, dude, Underwood, he kind of had his way with them running the ball from a quarterback position. He had 7 rushes for 44 yards. I think DeMond, he had 19 carries in this Wisconsin game. I think you could see another big day where if the weather's a little bit dicey, does he kind of have a lot of design runs? One thing Barry Odom's kind of known for, I want to talk about is we've seen a lot of teams try to spy us. We saw Michigan spy us. We saw Ohio State spy us. They kind of just stuck a dude on us, Arvell Reese. I forget the Michigan guys, but they kind of had like that one guy. Barry Odom is very much known for putting a spy on, taking a spy off. He wants to have like a little bit of a cat and mouse, drop into a zone and then spy again, man to man, then go back to a spy. So I'm very interested to see with the wheels that DeMond has and just that overall speed, what are some of those cat and mouse type games, those tricks that Odom tries to bring in against his team.
I think you're actually really onto something because he also likes to blitz a lot. You watch, especially against Michigan, a lot of why Underwood had the yards that he had was because they were bringing pressures and he was able to slip out and make plays with his legs. Same thing in the running game. I think that you'll see them blitzed, especially to the strong side, and that leaves the weak side open. And you saw Marshall get a bunch of big chunk yards attacking that.
Amen. I'll play a little bit of Mike because I stole Mike's thunder in the segue into the offense. Mike, what do you want to see on offense here from UW versus that defense?
Honestly, establishing the run first and foremost. Like I think we've kind of beat this in like a dead horse, but I think that our running game was good. We have a good offensive line for run blocking. I think that if we can't stay consistent with the run, it really affects what we can do with the pass. If you saw against Wisconsin, we became one-dimensional, and when we became one-dimensional,
it affected DeMond.
Exactly. They were able to put the clamps on us. And I think that if I'm Jedd Fisch, I'm gonna say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna make sure either first or second down is always a run for the first 4 or 5 drives, and making sure that our running backs get. Say we don't need a 50-50 split, but say a 55-45, 60-40 split, and make sure that we're putting the pressure on them, because then when you have the flood concepts that Noah was talking about last week, hey, they actually bite on the run, and that leaves those guys open.
Stuff too. Yeah, we're all agreeing on what we need to do here is establish the run, let it open up the pass. But another aspect of why it'll be important is that Purdue on the turnover margin, I think they're like last or bottom 5 in the entire country at -10. And therefore, I almost view that as we can't have any. If you have 0, you should win this game.
They only have 4 interceptions on the year.
If we don't give them extra possessions, then they're going to give us, statistically speaking, at least 1.
Yep.
And if that happens, then if you're losing the turnover battle against this team, against this Husky team at home, and you're Purdue, then the odds of you winning that game are slim, real freaking slim.
I know we're kind of beat up on the offensive line right now, but I really think that you can attack this front 7, man. They're kind of volatile. They're playing a ton of younger guys, like we talked about. They have a ton of bodies that they bring in. They're not very
inconsistent.
They are, man, and they're just not proven Big Ten guys, man. They brought a lot of guys from UNLV. You saw like when it worked was against teams like Ball State.
Yeah,
but it hasn't worked against like Big Ten competition. And I mean, they really do just lack like elite edge rush. They're thin, like, across like elite, like playmaker type guys. And I think one thing Mike brought up before the show, and I want to say it though, so we don't forget, is they kind of hang around. And then as like mid-third quarter,
they lose it. Yeah.
Like the floodgates open and they just don't have the guys to finish it off. I mean, you saw that they put pretty well, early on against Ohio State. Michigan, they needed a stop versus Michigan, and they would have got the ball back. They just couldn't get that stop. Yep. So I think our beat up O-line, whatever it is, whatever we see, whether it's like Pocky at right tackle, we got some sort of Hatchet Henning mix.
Well, that's what I was actually just about to ask you that. What do you think how do you think this offensive line, this is purely speculation because we're not coaching, but if you were Jedd Fisch, what offensive line are you putting out there saying that Azzo can't go? Because it sounds like Azzo's not going to be able to go. And it sounds like Landon, if they can't figure out what to do with the hand cast, he might not go. What does your offensive line look like if you're Jedd Fisch?
I want Pocky at right tackle. and I know he hasn't played a ton there, at least so far on the season, but I just feel like we need to give him a shot at tackle. And I feel like this is the right opportunity to do so. If we're going to establish the run, that's where he's going to have some success on this defense. And I think I think it's a good spot for him there. I wonder if you see Garion take it in it, hop over at center, or if you see Henning at center and then Hatchett at a guard spot. And then obviously you've got Mills at the other guard spot and then Carver at the left tackle spot.
And just to clarify, you mean Landon at the right guard?
Yeah, like I wouldn't be super surprised if you saw them decide to switch the spots of the Hatchet brothers.
Okay, and I think that's
experience.
Real. That's real. I mean,
Kieran has the experience of playing there, so.
Okay, and I know Jedd was happy, at least he said so in his press conference, about how Henning played. But you could see either or happen. If Pocky can't get the job done at right tackle, are we going to see more Solo, or do you think that they may give somebody else a shot out there? Because Jedd in his press conference also mentioned that they're going to be trying lots of different guys at tackle this week in practice.
I'm not going to dunk on a kid. I don't think any of us should. You can't. Right now, you're 3-3 in the Big Ten. You can't play him.
Can't play Solo.
I don't think so, man.
I don't think.
Sorry.
I agree. I agree with you 100%. Noah, what about you? What do you think?
I've seen enough.
Yeah. We don't mean to dog on it, right? But he needs more time, if that's what it is. If he needs more practice, more stuff like that. But we can't put the liability out there at tackle. After DeMond was struggling to not do one read and then look at his defensive line in a lot of positions and kind of panic out, and he's not able to make his decisions how he wants to or how we want him to, you can't do it, dude. He needs a clean pocket.
Take Solo out of the picture, okay? At the end of the day, you can't put offensive linemen out there that are liabilities to get your freaking star quarterback hurt.
Yeah, no.
That's real.
Simple as that.
That's real.
Don't do it, dude. Yeah.
All right, well, let's do this. Izzo, I'm curious what matchups you're interested in seeing playing. If we're going to move away from the offensive line talk, because I think we kind of
let's
hit that one on the head.
It's fun.
What are the matchups that really stick out to you?
I'm super excited for this first matchup. I'm just praying. I'm praying for health.
So if you guys, this is health depending, because the first matchup I would love to see if he is healthy and friggin' rolled ankles, I'm no stranger to. So depending upon how bad it is, Denzel, first of all, you're a freaking dog for coming out there and continuing to play on that thing. We all three were like, hey, let's make sure to call out that Denzel's a freaking dog for playing through that. But if he is healthy, I want to see Denzel Boston versus Tony Grimes. Tony Grimes, for you recruiting heads, might ring a bell. In the 2020 class, he was the number one cornerback in the country, 247 composite, 5-star, like 98.69 or something like that. Super highly touted. The reason is you got 6'4" versus a physical press corner. It'd be a really good kind of just matchup, like fun matchup to watch, frankly. And Tony Grimes, he plays through the ball. Boston's late hands, back shoulder catching, back shoulder fades and stuff like that would be really awesome to see, especially if they can connect in the rain against like a quality cornerback who's underperformed against expectations. He went to North Carolina, then transferred to Purdue. That's never a good move down to schools, but whatever.
Dude, he actually is just so you know, he went North Carolina, Texas A&M, UNLV, then Purdue. He's played at all four schools.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. Big body boundary corner against Denzel. I think it'd be a really good tape for Denzel with where he projects to go to the NFL. And then the other one I want to see get exploited, in my opinion, is Roebuck versus Bradford. He's their number one nickel. Bradford, from watching just a handful of games from him, he's very good triggering downhill and playing against the run and being able to disguise runs and stuff. But he can get exposed on like slants and underneaths. And that's where we're going to need to establish some of these runs and keep these drives going. It can't just all be at him all game. He does get some PBUs. He will get some tackle for losses, but When the safety is rotating late behind him, there's trouble there. And Roebuck thrives in that quick game, those timing window routes. So him, and then obviously I want to see RVB and Decker get going. We suspect, or at least I suspect, that Hines, who's their right side cornerback, will kind of bounce between seeing Vines Bright and Roebuck, but mostly I expect Roebuck in the slot, Vines Bright on the outside. We'll see what happens if Amari gets in this game. But I think with RVB, you're seeing him get open more often. And Hines likes to sit on those intermediate routes on the outside in their kind of like soft cover zone type of thing. He's not asked to do a whole lot, and it just spells some opportunities for Vines Bright because he's just so much more athletic, in my opinion, than Hines. He's a big reason that side of the secondary for Purdue is a lot of reason why they are giving up like 400 yards a game through the air.
Another thing really quick, Mike, that I was going to say is they've been giving up tons of explosive plays. And I was trying to like key in on that. Is like, what are they doing? That's like, just like, are they not like tracking? Do they not understand like what coverage they're in? You know what I've noticed from Grimes, Bradford, and Hines, they love to cheat and look in the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
And that wide receivers just like get behind them, or they're like a half a second, boom, they're gone. And now they're trying to play catch up. It just seems like they're a little bit undisciplined corners. Like they want to make those elite plays, but they try to get they like to cheat to make those plays.
It's funny that you say that. That's kind of plays into what I've seen as the whole Achilles heel in the games I watched from Purdue's defense in general is over aggressiveness leads to big plays against them. But the question that I was going to ask you is, though, if Denzel can't go, who's the number one? Could we see 3 freshmen out there as our starters with Lawson?
It could be Lawson. Yeah, I think you should, because I think he's ready and he poses a diversified threat. I think Amari is like the deep shot guy for sure. But I wouldn't mind seeing 3 true freshman wide receivers out there. That would be kind of cool. But not only cool, I think they can do it. I was just going to say with Hines, what's interesting is in that scheme where they're giving up a ton of those like 20 plus yarders on the right side, it's actually a lot of post wheel route stuff, like dig to go stuff. So long as the protection holds, which means you're going to have to set it up, especially without as a party on the right side. And so this is just something I want to double moves, like the flood concept. I think that if they're going to sit back on that, they might be a little bit more disciplined and do well against. I think it's like the kind of the trickery stuff. Like you said, they have the eyes in the backfield that post the wheel routes from the slot spot. I think that's what can beat them, but I don't want to see a ton of that to begin with. Like take those shots when they're set up. Don't just go right after them. And that's why I was just going to say this point. It's really important that, and this will be like maybe the thing that I'm focused on the most outside of maybe like offensive line penalties, is how do we manage Demond coming off of an off game? Like, can we get the mind right? And I don't want him looking super flustered again and doing one read and then deciding to go unless it's there. Like, I actually want to see him go through a few reads and find somebody else underneath. And like Noah was talking about, we had Vines Bright on that crosser. I mean, that thing was right in front of him, but it was one read and go. And he had 16 carries against Wisconsin. Like, I get the game script calls for that, but that's a little bit too far.
I think it was 19, which is even crazier.
Was it 19?
19, yeah.
That's ridiculous. Yeah,
so I don't think we need to do that in this game. I don't want to put him at risk. So like go through your reads, man. And I want to see them get him calmed down after that. Like, yeah, just separate yourself from all the noise. And then Decker DeGraff against Miles Shusher, their strong safety and Correa. This really has more to do with what's being set up over the middle and being possibly without Denzel. I want to see us utilizing Decker against these guys who are not as big, they're not the guys who are like expert pass defenders. And I think DeGraff can exploit that.
Dude, Miles Slusher might be on the all-name team. That's an elite strong safety
They
name.
have another all-name guy that we're going to talk about a little bit later. But yeah, and then just with the movement in the interior offensive line, I want to see that, I don't need to expand a ton on that, but like the inside zone with Adam Muhammad, can they be as effective as we know that they have the ability to be if Landon's got a club on his hand and not 100%? Yeah, I think where their linebackers are very strong is not necessarily in tackling big running backs like Adam Muhammad. I think it's like rushing the passer, like Mike was talking about. And so there's an opportunity for us to really get kind of something going where we wear them down in the middle.
Okay.
Dude, what do you think about that Jamarian Harkless kid? 345.
He's a big
daddy.
But they just, like you were saying earlier, Noah, like we were saying, they rotate a lot of guys who are like really inconsistent. So I think he gets worn down with that big old 345.
Dude, he is an absolute load.
All right. Anything else? Actually, Izzo, you have anything else you want to?
They have a decent. They have a pass rusher, Nunnally. CJ Nunnally, their edge. He's like their best. He's their best pass rusher. So I just keep an eye on him against Pocky. I want to see Pocky shut him down. I want to see Pocky like lay the stake in the ground and be like, I should have been the guy from the jump, and just lay it down, because he's going to be the guy next year, obviously. But I want to see him have a complete game start to finish. You're the starter. Let's go. We're putting you at tackle. Shut down a decent edge. Not only.
You know what was a crazy? This is building on that whole tackle thing. You know what was a name that Jedd threw out there during his press conference for tackle?
Who's that?
Champ.
Interesting.
Yeah, he'd mentioned that Champ had played tackle in high school, and he's one of the guys that they were going to look at this week.
All right, curveball, Jedd.
Yep. Yeah. Hey, you know what? Whether he puts him in or not, at least it makes me feel good. All right. Any other mashups you wanna that excite you or Noah?
I mean, I talked about the Muhammad one earlier that I'm really interested to see, especially if Coleman can't go. I just think this is a team that Adam Muhammad can really get off on. The other one that I'm interested in, the 3 freshmen, right? If they play like Izzo talked about, but the names that Jimmy Doherty talked about in the press conference, interesting to me. Kevin Green and Audric Harris. He specifically mentioned those 2 names, which Audric played a little bit early in the year, but we haven't seen a lot of Kevin Green, man. He came in from Arizona as kind of he was kind of a highly touted player. People thought he was going to be good at Arizona. I know that things weren't great coming out of practice on Kevin Green, but I wonder if he's kind of got his feet under him a little bit more. So I wonder if Kevin Green and Harris can get on the field in a game like this if Denzel's out.
Those are 2 guys that were above all the freshmen on the depth chart, and it seems like all of a sudden, as the season was going, you didn't see them on the field. You started seeing the freshmen get all the play. So I'm very curious, especially with Audric Harris, because Audric Harris was a name that Jedd mentioned a lot, and you saw him last year even some. So it's
Lawson's athletic ability is just he's the 3 of the 3 freshmen like have probably seen the field the least amount. But he obviously pops. I mean, that's not news to anybody, but he's undeniable talent for the future. So I get it.
You know who I wish wasn't hurt right now is Justice Williams. I think if Denzel can't go, it would be nice to have somebody with a big body out there. But I think pretty much kind of summarizing up what we talked about is it's super, super important that the UW's offense gets in a rhythm running, and that opens up things in the pass game. And then we see the offensive line, who might be makeshift and patchwork put together, have a solid performance and kind of simplify everything and go back to the basics, the things that we were doing the first 3 weeks that really made our offense look like what they can be. Does that sound about right, fellas? That sound about
I think so. Maybe some Jay Wash too.
Yeah, well, he's going to be back this week.
Jordan Washington would be interesting just to mix it up.
Yeah, he'll be back this week, and if Jonah can't go, you're going to see a lot more Jordan Washington.
Carries. Yeah.
If between those, after those 2, who gets carries after them?
I mean,
I was just
like Carr, maybe.
Quade Carr, maybe. Yeah.
Has he been the only other guy that's got PT this year? Have we seen McMahon at all? I don't think we have.
Not really. No.
I don't I don't think we have. All right, let's look to the other side of the ball now. UW's defense was the one real bright spot from the Wisconsin game, and they're going up against Purdue, and Purdue's offense is kind of weird. Like, they have two different quarterbacks that they use. Ryan Brown, who's their starter, the guy that plays a bunch. I think he's got 9 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. And then they got a guy that they kind of use like Damon in it's Singleton? I can't remember what his first name is. They have a very interesting offense. Izzo, when you're looking at this offense and you're looking at these guys, how do they match up to UW's defense, and what do you think we can do to stifle them?
Yeah, I think they're really hamstrung because they're starting running backs out Maccabee. So
dude, he was their heartbeat, man. I mean, like, we say that a lot, but I mean, he specifically stayed at Purdue because he talked about wanting to be a Boilermaker. He was a mechanical engineer, talked about their elite, academics in Purdue. I mean, he lives and breathes, man. The gold and black. I mean,
it's going to be a struggle for them without him for sure, because they're going to go, I would assume they'll probably do some committee stuff. It's not going to be just one guy. It's going to be in the rain. They have a starting quarterback who like we talked about, he flashes and you'll see him fire a ball in there. And you're like, oh, okay, I get why he's the starting quarterback in the Big Ten. And then also see him make some really kind of silly throws just into traffic. He's got these 8 picks on the year, which has hamstrung them from really being able to do anything. He's not a mobile guy. He's kind of statuesque. He can move a little bit, but not something that's going to scare you and be a dual threat type of thing. So they have to bring in another guy if they want to bring in that layer, like we talked about with Singleton. We've allowed 2.9 third quarter points this season, and I think we can establish that as our identity moving forward. And I think this Purdue team is really going to be susceptible to needing to score in the third and fourth, especially us coming off a loss, pissed off with something to prove. It's kind of the wrong time. And I don't know if they necessarily have the dudes. They have some gadgety slot players. I think it was against Ohio State. It was a garbage time touchdown, but boy, they had a slot receiver that just absolutely cooked an Ohio State cornerback in that game. So they've got those.
Was that Nitro Tuggle?
Yeah, I think Smith? It actually might be. That was the name that I was going to bring up later as like the here. I think if you get 3-4 sacks on Ryan Brown, this game is going to be really tough for them. If you're creating pressure on Ryan Brown and he's not mobile, we just have our defense is hitting its stride. And if you just go, this has bit us in the butt like it did last week. If you go matchup math, they don't match up well with these corners, these wide receivers that they got. And I'm really trusting the young linebackers that are stepping up and our interior defensive line rotation and how Lane has been playing. I think we're hitting our stride right now, and this is a bad time for Purdue to come into a rainy Washington.
So you don't trust their number one receiver, Michael Jackson? He's got 53 receptions and 471 on the season. He's only got 1 touchdown, but he is their number one receiver, at least stat wise.
I am not trusting that. With a -10 turnover differential from the quarterback under pressure.
Well, let me ask you this: what are some of the matchups that you do like?
I like Lane versus Tanona, their starting left tackle, or Durfee against Coley, their starting right tackle. I really do think that Walters is going to be pissed off.
I bet you Walters got some stuff in his in his magic trick of bag, man.
So those two, I think, have an opportunity. Specifically, Lane is really kind of establishing himself as like the stalwart of the edge group, and he has been.
That sack last week looked great.
Barry Odom, head coach in their presser, called number 48. I don't know. Yeah, that guy is good, man. 48. He's just all over the ball. Yeah.
So I like that. I won't go through as many as I did on the offensive side, but Ticario and Prysock versus Nitro Tuggle, can't not say his full name. So awesome. And EJ Horton and Jackson. I just think that's a huge mismatch. Horton specifically, his yards per catch sit right around 11. Tuggle is their vertical flash type of guy. we're going to force them into tight throws with the length. And I think we can cause trouble. I'm predicting in this game at least two picks for UW in this game, caused somewhat by pressure. And also I think we got a coverage pick from either Takario or Prysock in this game.
Don't you think really,
Yeah.
can I ask you on that? Like,
Yeah.
don't you think when Brown is on schedule or like in rhythm, I feel like it always comes when he hits his RPO read and then he gets the ball out. But when you have guys like Takario Davis and Ephesians Prysock that make him hold the ball just like a half second too long, I feel like that's when he really starts to make mistakes. He leaves one or two throws every game on the field that I know he just is kicking himself.
100%.
And so that's a matchup that I'm just some mind stuff, some late breaking coverages, like bring a safety down, bring a safety on the line, and then drop him and blitz 3 or 4 like other players, whatever it is. It's just kind of exciting to see that.
I think it's a big reason why they kind of play the first half close, and then as he starts to think more and defenses start to mix things up with these Big Ten defenses, why they end up kind of getting blown out in the second half most of the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I know they also play with lots of wide receivers on the field. So they actually, I was telling Noah this earlier, the offense kind of reminds me almost of like KDB's offense, but with Dylan Morris running it, not with
no shot at Demo.
Yeah. And I'm just saying it looked a lot more like that, where you had a lot of receivers on the field. You saw crazy formations, lots of motion, like 4 wide receivers a lot of the time. And do you see if Rashawn Clark can't go, are we going to start seeing 4 and 5, or maybe we see 3 safeties instead of 2? How do you guys see maybe that playing out then?
This is a very 50-50 kind of balanced team, even though with 3-4 wide receiver sets. What I'm super interested to see is with, like Izzo said, with Mockabee out, they've really ran this Malachi Singleton quarterback in kind of that Ronnie Brown, Miami Dolphins, Wildcat type look. Because I think they're trying to go running back, by committee with Antonio Harris, Malachi Thompson. But I think that they can bring in kind of that running back +1, like sometimes we talk about with DeMond, if you have a quarterback who can also run. I think that's kind of where you're going to see Singleton. I could see Singleton in this game getting, 4, 5, 6 carries just to try to kind of spell Brown a little bit, because maybe they're thinking numbers wise
got to, man.
Yep.
Yeah, they got to. They got to bring up something, because Ryan Walters is going to bring the full deck.
Yeah, and that's kind of how they use him. If you watch it, he'll play 3 series in the game, and he's 6'1", 235. He's not a small dude as far as weight goes, and he'll run, but he'll also, against Rutgers, he threw 2 touchdown passes. You know what I'm saying? So
that's bad defense, though. Hopefully we don't play no.
It is a very bad defense. It is, but I think he threw one against Michigan though too.
Dude, they're what's interesting too is their kicker's pretty good. He hasn't, extra points in college aren't much, but he's 12 of 13 on field goals. He's 3 of 4 in the 40-yard ranges, and he has a 50+ this season as well. So I'm fine holding him to 3, but
yeah.
The more and more we talk about matchups though, I want to say, gosh, I'm almost most excited to kind of see some of the intricacies that Ryan Walters, has been saving for these boys.
It's almost like the players to watch is Walters.
Yeah, well, from a defensive perspective, it's kind of exciting.
Well, yeah, I think it's because as the season's gone on, you're starting to see the defense really picking up how to play his defense correctly, and they're just getting better and better and better every single week, and it's been fun to watch. It's been something that, man, it feels good to have defense be kind of what's leading the way right now at Washington. That's kind of traditionally what we've always been, is a defensive first team. And we haven't seen that since death row.
Yeah. I wonder if they bring in Leroy for this game, or Leroy, whatever your preference is there. But I wonder how much we see of him in the nickel, or if they go a different direction.
If they went a different direction, where would they go, do you think?
I guess he would be the guy.
Could you see Dylan Robinson move in?
Actually, that's what I was going to say. Is so I don't want to say that I remember exactly who the trio was, But Dylan Robinson played in the Wisconsin game.
All right. Is there anything else you guys want to cover on the defense before we move on?
Dude, I'm
About
good.
it, man. I would just say Taj Raul, their free safety, he can get you. He'll jump a lazy seam if Demond starts to do the one read stuff and we don't set it up properly. So keep an eye on that. But we should handle business, man. Don't overthink this. Get Adam Muhammad going early. We can beat them in the middle. Tire down that defense in the first half. Played the rain to your advantage, but let's not make the same mistake where we have it too tight, which is what the 10-3 score. And then weather really becomes a factor and Demond is not operating how he should. Be prepared for that more than you were last week. I don't want as many deep shots. I don't want the corner seam or the corner route to Denzel if he's out, or I don't want us to attempt that to Roebuck or Raiden Vinesbright. Get Demond confident and in a rhythm and then kind of go from there. Not as many deep shots is my point. Like they play a soft zone anyways, get stuff going underneath and get Adam Muhammad going.
Outside zone is our friend. Run outside zone. It'll be open
inside.
all game.
Yep.
Either one, whatever.
Inside zone too, but I really like outside zone.
You guys are kind of already jumping into it, but I was going to say, what do you want to see from this UW team? What is important to get out of the rut that we were in after the Wisconsin game and start stepping back into the light and back towards the direction we want to go? Noah, start us off with that.
If Jonah and Boston are limited in this game, I want to see how these young bucks show out. I want to see, how have our coaching staff, done to get these young guys ready to go a full game.
Noah? Izzo, sorry.
I want to see us hit some of these benchmarks. I want to see us giving up less than 7% of the dropbacks as sacks, less pressures. I want to see us going back to what we were doing where we were converting 45+% on third down. We're top 5 third down team. I think even after this last game in Wisconsin, we're still top 5. Get back to that. 50% plus on, success on first down, getting yourself set up for second and short, third and short. Don't make it difficult on yourself by not being successful early on downs. And then go win the turnover battle. If you do those two things, if you hit 2 of those benchmarks, if you're, the less than 7% of dropbacks as sacks, over 50% on first down success rate, and then you win the turnover battle, I can't imagine losing this game. But boy, man, I thought the same with Wisconsin. I just don't see it at home. This is different type of thing. We don't, just in general, don't need to play hero ball against this team. Let's just go and beat them straight up the way that Michigan would, the way that these other Big Ten schools would, by running it down their throat and establishing the short pass game, and then take your shots. Don't come out there guns a-blazing. Let the shots develop themselves. And then continue to this trend of second half dominance on defense. 3 points in the third quarter allowed. That's freaking fantastic. Keep that going again. You're going to win games. If Boston and Coleman are out, or if it's Coleman who's out, lean on Roebuck and DeGraff and get Muhammad 20+ carries. Stop with the penalties. Get that right. I'll kind of end this with what Noah started this with: discipline. Can we put it together and not commit so many penalties? Can someone get in someone's face like the way that Carver was trying to right before he committed a penalty? Like, we need that, man. We need that accountability. Yeah. So let that be the players that step up. If we're not going to see coaches chewing guys out on the sideline, like, let's have some accountability. Let's act like this is who we are.
I think that's actually great. I know, I'll keep it real simple. They're 0-4 on the road. We've lost 1 game at home in 4 years. Is that
3 years or something like that?
Yeah. So let's take care of business at home like we always do, and bring the W home. It's pretty simple like that. And I think handling the penalties, third downs, and finishes, score handles itself.
It's 2 weeks and then a bye and then Oregon, right? We have a bye before the Oregon game.
We're done with buys.
We're done with buys. Yeah, it's a straight up sprint through the rest of the season.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, before we get into predictions, Do me a favor, you guys. Go down into the bio, and I want you to click on the Discord link and join the Discord. It's free. If you don't know about the Dub Discord, it is the best place to go get Husky information on the internet. We have a community that's 2,900 strong, and it's free to join. But if you decide to pay that little fee, man, you will open up a whole new world of Husky football that you've never seen before. I'm talking about conversation that lasts 24/7. If you're feeling Husky-ish at 3 o'clock in the morning, jump in the Discord. There'll be somebody in there to talk to. But on top of that, you get all the best information first. If you want to know what recruits are coming to the town, if you want to know what coaches are interested in coming here, if you want to know what Jedd Fisch had for breakfast, it's in the Discord. So make sure you go and join that today and come talk to me, Izzo, and Noah. We love having conversations in there. It's crazy. So, fellas, it's the funnest time of the pod, and that is prediction time. Izzo, I'm going to have you kick this one off. I know I was a little overzealous last weekend. But you know what? That's my style. So I can be that. Okay. You guys are the level-headed ones. I'm the colorful analyst, bro. That's what it is.
We all picked
pun intended. All right.
None of us thought that they were going to lose. Noah was the most on the fence about just not feeling great about it, and he was the most correct. I got to give him his flowers on that. And he literally predicted if we were going to lose what the score was going to be. It was nails on it.
That was crazy.
And it's exactly what happened. What he was fearful of and what we were kind of fearful of from a bad side, exactly what happened. So kudos to you, Noah. I think that we're on schedule on offense. I hope Jedd's gotten some sleep and we're all rested up, because we need to get Damon's mind right. And that's going to be the biggest factor for me as to whether or not we blow the doors off or we win by a slight margin, or if we're biting our nails and we're freaking out. I just don't see it happening at home. I've got the Huskies with 2 takeaways. I think we keep Purdue under 300 yards. I think the crowd's in it early. I don't think it's going to be a sellout, but I still think it'll be loud. I know a lot of people who are going to this game, and I think the third quarter we do shut them down like we typically do, and then that's when we pull ahead. Even if it is in the rain, I just think we're going to be more prepared. There's no way that this team, this staff lets that. They're too smart. We're too smart. We're too good of a staff, too experienced to have the same thing happen twice. Even if, in the rain, we can't be. The rain is not an excuse. We are Washington. So anyways, my point is I got UW winning 31-13 at home and moving to 7-3.
I like it. I like it a lot. Noah.
Picture Alexander said, "We're hungry. We ain't happy, but we're hungry." And this isn't not only a must-have, it's a get back, get right game. I think we are probably a little bit more banged up than people really even want to believe.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the availability decisions will come down to the day of game time decisions. But like we've said multiple times, the difference in this game is going to be running the rock. We should be able to run downhill all night, smash mouth football. I know the line is 54 for this game. I just don't see how it gets anywhere close to that. I don't think it'll even touch 50. Dogs at home, just too much for the Boilermakers, man. 27-10 Dogs.
Ooh, I like that a lot too. Now, for me,
did you make a last second change, Noah?
I did. Oh, and I'll tell you. If you want me to tell you why, I will.
Okay, tell me why. Why did you go?
I think that the more and more I thought about the Maccabee kid being out.
Oh yeah.
I think that they're going to have to. I don't think they're going to run to the ball. I think they're going to take every single clock down. I think they want to limit possessions in this game, and I think you're going to see a lower scoring game, because I think that in their mind, it's the only way they probably can win is limit possessions, try to maybe get a couple, you hear me say it a lot, but flip the game on its head, maybe get a turnover, maybe just do some interesting schemes. And the more and more I just kind of thought about it, I was like, I just don't see that many possessions in this game. I think it's a 27-10 type game.
Okay. All right. Like I said, that actually makes a lot of logical sense. Let's go to
no Jonah.
Yep. Let's move to
maybe no Boston.
Mm-hmm. Right? So Let's move
Go
to
ahead.
the illogical side, which is me.
He's
Now-
like, shut up, you guys. Let me get logical.
So real quick, we're not playing at Camp Randall. It's not going to be snowing. There's not going to be freezing rain. It's going to be 55 and dreary. That is what Husky football is played in. We're pissed off. And my prediction is based upon two different things. So I'm going to give you two different predictions. The first one is if Denzel's healthy. If Denzel's healthy, I think you're going to see us really go in there and try to lay it on them. I can see a 38-21 victory. If Denzel's not healthy and not playing, I can see it more being like a 28-15, 28-20 type game where it's a little bit closer because you don't have that extra weapon. And it didn't seem like we really had a lot going for us outside of Denzel last week. And so I want to see him be there. I think that if he's there, he makes big plays and he makes them all over the field and we win big. Regardless, go for it.
I was just going to say, I just had an epiphany that it might actually be a good thing for the growth for DeMond that he doesn't have the valve of taking the shot to Denzel, that it's going to force him into making reads and going through his reads underneath and stuff like that and throwing into windows.
You might be correct. And I wonder if, he's got that connection with Roebuck. And it was crazy because when he threw that interception to him in the end zone, it seemed like he was throwing it to the guy that, just throwing it up and letting his guy go get it because him and Roebuck have that connection.
Well, I thought it was like him kind of throwing it up there like it was Denzel, but it was Roebuck. And
exactly. That's exactly what I mean. And I think that you're right. If he's not in there, he's got to focus on getting those windows and hitting the open guy, finding him and hitting him. And he's going to be under some pressure. They're going to throw a lot of blitzes at him. They've seen the tape and they know what he doesn't do well and that he can get frazzled. Hey, man, this is another perfect opportunity for you to shut everybody up and let them see what we've been seeing, all season long, that you are the man. All right, fellas, is there anything else you guys want to add before we call this a pod?
No, let's flush that Wisconsin game. God.
Yep, let's flush it. Let's look forward to this game and let's come home with a win. So you guys, make sure you go like, subscribe, go join the Discord, all that good stuff. And make sure you tune in next week. Same dog time, same dog channel. For Izzo, for Noah, I'm Mike Flaunt. This is the Dubbed Up Podcast. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs, baby.
Ooh.
All my life. Been grinding all my life. Sacrifice. Hustle, pay the price.
Oh,
Want a slice? Gotta roll the dice. That's why all my life. I've been grinding all my life. Let's go, baby. Nipsey Hustle.
How does he top himself every week? Because he started spitting bars.
You didn't know this, that Noah wasn't supposed to be a football player at birth. That was